What is up, Facebook land? Welcome to another edition of the Two Dates and a Dash podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cubbler. And before I introduce the guy's a legend, I'm a fan. I'm a little bit giddy here. I'm not going to lie, Micky Ward. Before I introduce him, I'm going to dedicate the show like I always do. I'm going to dedicate this show to every boxer who's ever stepped into the ring. I know what it's like to get smashed in the face. I know what it's like to put your body through pain and suffrage and train to even get into that part. It's one of the most grueling sports ever, but it's one of the most rewarding sports. It's my all-time favorite. Most of you already know that. So this show is dedicated to any boxer who's ever put the gloves on and stepped into the ring and stood toe-to-toe with another man or woman, I guess, nowadays. So the podcast, where can you find the podcast? Podcast is everywhere. iTunes, Stitcher, Castbox, Anchor, anywhere you find podcasts, you'll find Two Dates and a Dash podcast. So my special guest, Micky Ward. You may know him as Irish Micky Ward. He is a famed boxer. He was one of the greatest brawlers, I think, ever in the history of boxing. The dude was old school when old school wasn't even new school yet. And he's most well known, I guess, for his Ward-Gatti trilogies, which was 3 fights against the amazing Arturo Gatti, who passed away, unfortunately. And those were 3 of the best fights ever in the history of boxing. And his 9th round in the first Gotti Ward is considered the best round of boxing ever. You may also know him as the inspiration for the movie The Fighter, starring Mark Wahlberg. It was an amazing movie. If you have not seen it, you must go see it. I think we'll find out how true it was, but I think it depicted who Micky Ward was, and at least that's who I envisioned him to be. And in the movie, his girlfriend and wife, Charlene, I just found out they're still married, which is an even better part of the story. They have a daughter who's 29, and I'm just honored and thrilled to have soon to be inducted in the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, Irish Micky Ward. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, Matt? How's everything, bud?
Awesome. I am so excited to have you on my show. I think this is going to be an amazing hour where people who may not be boxing fans or know much about boxing are going to become a fan of Micky Ward.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
So let's talk about, what are you doing these days? What's going on in Micky Ward's world right now? And
I work. I'm into construction like I always did, even when I was fighting. I did it a little bit. So I'm still doing that. I was training fighters for a while, but I kind of got burnt out of it. So I took a little bit of break off doing that. But basically just staying busy working and just trying to stay healthy.
How is your health? You got banged around a lot,
Yeah, well,
a few fights.
Yeah, I guess. I got the CTE there, the post-concussion.
Yep.
I'm actually in that study with BU with Chris Nowinski and Dr. Robert Cant, who actually diagnosed with CTE, and I'm in a study with the football players and stuff and soccer players, and I'm donating my brain and part of my spinal cord when I pass.
So let's talk. And I wasn't, like I said, this show, I have no idea. I never have a plan other than this to introduce you, and then the conversation goes where it is. Let's talk about CTE. I don't know if a lot of people understand what that is. Let's educate some people on what that is.
Well, it's a CTE. I don't know the CTE. It's, I couldn't say the word if it was in front of me. But it's from head blows and things like that, and it's concussions, and everyone's different in concussions. Some people get, everyone's symptoms are different too, I believe, and I'm doing okay. I have medicine. I take medicine for it, and I'm fine. I try to stay healthy and do the right thing, so it does help the concussions, and it's a sad thing, but it's just a sport I did. Boxing is predominantly the name of the game is get hit in the head. Pretty much, and so I took my lumps, and I'm paying for it, but I'm good though. I'm healthy, and I'm doing good right now.
So from what I know about CTE, and I know that there's a lot of football players, I think that's where a lot of the attention came from. Is a lot of players. I know a guy who played for the Steelers, Mike Webster. Yeah. He was an all-pro center back in the 70s, committed suicide, and they found that in his brain he had the CTE, which causes depending on the athlete and depending on the person, different symptoms. And
Right.
one of them is suicidal thoughts and depression and
Right.
and all that. And it's a result of continual blows to the head. And that's why they have the concussion protocols now in the NFL. And I think referees are even more quick to stop a fight when there's too many blows to the head continuously in boxing today versus what you went through in your career.
Right.
So TP is really something that is being researched heavily right now. And it's really brave and awesome for you because you're going to save lives at some point in time because of the research that's being done on you.
Right. I mean, I hope so. I just hope, I mean, the sport is like, it's a rough sport. It's the name of the game is to be hit, you know what I mean? And 99% of the time people go for the head, and that's just the game. And you can't take them out, like the punches out of the game. Like boxing is, you've got to punch the other person. So, I think the only thing you could probably do is lessen the sparring or ease up on the sparring, and you're in the fight, you got to go out hard and you got to go all out, But I like to spar hard when I fought because if I sparred easy, I fought easy. I like to have that mentality of going in there. So even sparring, the hell with it. You're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you back hard, so. But I think the only way you could probably minimize the concussions is probably the less sparring before a fight or whatever it may be, But like I said, the name of the game is to get hit in the head pretty much. And, so either you got to less sparring maybe or, the headgear helps, but it only stops from cuts and stuff. It doesn't stop your brain from shifting around.
Yeah. I mean, I've sparred both without headgear and with headgear, and my head hurts just the same when it's all said and done. So
yeah, exactly.
So let's go back to, you're from Lowell, Massachusetts. Obviously you have a very thick Boston accent, which is, and I'll do a real quick side. I met Mick, which he doesn't remember meeting me because I'm not anybody, but back in 2011, I was managing a pro boxer and we fought an ESPN card out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And at the day we were leaving to come back home, we're at the airport in Tulsa, and I heard this voice from around the corner near where our gate was, talking on the phone, and sure as shit, it was Micky Ward. And when you were done your phone conversation, I brought over my fighter, and you guys had a good long chat. And that day, I just your voice just always stayed in my head. Yeah. It's like I can hear your voice. You're like that really distinct. Micky Ward's got his own sound, and you're from Lowell, Massachusetts. I mean, that's right outside of Boston. It's a blue collar town. Let's talk about Lowell and what it was like growing up there.
It was good. It was obviously like any little city. It's not a big city, but it's a smaller city, and like anyway, it had its problems. It had its different things like that, but it was okay. Growing up it was good. No problems at all, pretty much. Obviously, little kid stuff, fights here, there, and stuff like that. But it was all right. You know what I mean? And I just took the boxing at a young age, 7 years old, followed my brother Dickie to the gym. And from there, I just kept it going. Won the silver mittens, Junior Olympics, went to the Nationals a few times, and, ABFs, I won that and stuff. And, it just went from there to the pro ranks. And then, how it ended up with the Gatti stuff at the very end. But, it was rough at some points, but some points it wasn't as rough, But getting back to Lowell, it was a good town. Every town has their problems, but Lowell was okay. Back then in the 70s, it had a lot of bad problems. In the 80s, but it cleaned up a lot. It's really beautiful. So it's becoming a beautiful city.
So I know you had, the movie depicted certain things about Lowell and your childhood growing up and Dickie and you. And how much of that movie was on point and how much of it was Hollywood?
Well, it pretty much was all true, almost, but there was some fights that were off time or whatever and this and that. But for the most part, everything was right on, not right on, like it's a movie, but it was pretty good, the family stuff with my wife, it's still the same, that was right. But, they never fist fought like a physical fight, but a lot of back and forth arguing or whatever. But it's okay. Everything's good.
What about Dickie? How's he doing? I know he had his struggles with addiction and all that kind of stuff. How's he doing?
He's doing okay, knock on wood. You know, he's doing okay. You know, he's once in a while he'll go to the gym and train some kids or do whatever, but he's okay. He's doing better.
That's good. So you decided to, you went through the younger years as a boxer. You followed Dickie to the gym. You decided to get into boxing. You had early amateur success, and then you decided to go pro.
Right.
Most people think that professional boxers get paid a shit ton of money. And the reality is 2% of the boxers make 98% of the money, and 98% of the boxers make 2% of the money.
Right.
And, tell us what it was like growing into the pro ranks into the 80s and then the 90s and then the early 2000s. Right. The difference from when you first started in boxing to when it culminated with the Ward-Gatti III. Right.
Yeah, well, I started when I turned pro at 19. I had a few fights in Lowell, Mass, in my hometown, and then I went to Atlantic City, and I fought in Atlantic City more times than I fought in Massachusetts, or anywhere else. I went down here with a guy named Johnny Dunn. He was my brother Dickie's trainer. I went down there with him because he was good friends of Teddy Brenner, the matchmaker. So with Teddy Brenner, I went down to Atlantic City, and they got me on ESPN when I was 20 years old, and I fought down here regularly in the 80s on ESPN, and I have the record on ESPN of 27, 28 fights on ESPN.
Wow.
I don't think it'll be broke because they don't have that many fights on ESPN right now. But I have the record for the most fights on ESPN actually, and I'm actually going into the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame this coming June. But growing up when like I was a kid fighting and just. I went through the process of the gloves and the ABFs and different things like that, and I loved it, and I stood with it, and I turned pro, which I never thought I thought I'd just do profession to do it, not to make a profession out of it. But when I started, doing okay, I thought things were going good. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go all for it, and I did that, and then it was setbacks, a couple losses, and I had my hands, and then broke my hand, and then. Got in some trouble, a little bit of trouble. You seen the movie there, but it wasn't for me. It was no trouble. For Dickie, it was more. But I just try to do the right thing and live a normal life.
So what kind of money was it? Just so people get a context of what it was like when you're fighting your first 15 fights. You're on ESPN at 20. People think, oh my God, they're on ESPN. They got to be getting bank. Yeah. What did the fighter make? Back in the 80s.
Well, back in then, I think you got like maybe $600 for a 4-rounder or something like that, or $500 for a 4-rounder. Then as you go up, you make a little bit more and a little bit more, but it wasn't. I mean, the money wasn't the best, but I mean, it wasn't the worst either. I was treated good by Bob Arum, Teddy Brenner, Bruce Trampler, Lee Samuels, to name a few. We talked about who was the guy we were talking about?
Russell Peltz.
Russell Peltz helped me a lot. Great guy. Guys like that. But if it wasn't for Teddy Brenner, it never would have happened for me because he's the guy that got me down there. And Bob,
at the time, Atlantic City was the place, right? That was the place everybody wanted to fight, right?
Exactly, at the Resorts Hotel. I remember like yesterday, with John Wesley Meekins was fighting with me back then, It's funny because me and John Meekins were like Teddy Brenner's like babies. We're trying to call it that.
So when you decided to pick a style, right? Everybody's got a style, and they say boxing's all about matchups and styles, correct?
Right.
So when you said I'm going to become the guy that just stands in the middle and just bangs the piss out of each other,
right?
When did the left hook body shot, when did that become your signature move?
Well, I had it right when I turned pro. I had it, and I didn't really throw it much. I did throw it a lot, but not as much as I did at the end. But it's funny because when I turned professional, I was more of a boxer. I boxed. I used my legs. If you go back and look at a fight, I fought Joey Bugsy Farrell in Las Vegas. All I did was move and throw like combinations, move. I didn't stay there and bang back then, but then once as I got a little bit older and maturer and a little stronger, I realized I had a good, decent chin. I said, the hell with it. Why run around if I can just stay here and fight? You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not the right smart thing to do. It's boxing to be hit and don't be hit. To get hit and hit more. But, once I learned I had a pretty good chin and, I was always in shape, so I could fight hard through the whole fight, and I could take it. So once I learned I could punch a little bit and I had a good chin, I tended to stay there more than I should have. But that was just me. I didn't mind getting hit. I didn't like it, by no means, but it didn't really bother me.
Now, what did Charlene think about you fighting? What was her opinion of you as a boxer?
Well, she didn't mind it. She wouldn't like. She didn't like when I was fighting, obviously, but it was funny because she wanted me to stop after my second Gatti fight. She wanted me to stop. And I said, one more or two more, whatever, which one it was. And, she's like, why do you need it? And I was saying earlier about people that keep coming back for what, But I came back and, obviously I did okay with it. But, yeah, I think it hurt her when I was getting beat up. I think it hurt her more.
I'm sure it's tough, especially for a wife or a daughter to watch their dad or husband getting his head bashed in, or bashing someone, because no matter how much you bash the other person's head, and you're still getting hit.
Oh yeah.
The thing I find most intriguing about your career was that I can count probably 10 fights I've watched of yours where you could hear an announcer complaining about a fight that you were fighting, how you were out of it, you weren't even putting up a fight.
Right.
And the next thing you know, you hit a guy with a body shot and he's knocked out. I think Emanuel Steward was one of the ones that was,
yeah.
I can't remember what fight it was, but
yeah, it was in Vegas on the De La Hoya Whitaker undercut.
Yeah,
I was getting killed, and they were saying they shouldn't pay him, they should stop this fight, and blah 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 blah, and then boom, from that, and then at that point on, everything went right up. You know what I mean? I wasn't fighting. I was running, moving, and I'm not a mover. I wasn't a mover like that, But for some reason, I just kept moving in that fight. He did punch very hard, but I just got in that mood of moving. My legs felt so good. I could have won 30, 40 rounds, But luckily, I hit him with that liver shot and stopped him dead. And because I was way behind, I needed a knockout bad to win, and luckily I did that, and everything else in my career just went right up from there.
So how many times do you think over the course of, because how many fights did you have total? What was your actual record?
I think I had 51, 52 pro fights.
So out of those 52 pro fights, the last 3 are the ones that you're most remembered for, right?
Right, exactly, yeah.
So of the 48 or 49 prior to that, how many times did you climb the ladder and fall, and then climb the ladder and fall, and almost every time you fall, think about, should I keep doing this? How many times did that happen, do you think?
It was a lot, I had some fights, I fought a young Zab Judah. Zab Judah was a great junior welterweight when he won the title. He was the real deal, believe me. Probably one of the best fighters I ever fought, for that matter. But I fought like a Zab Judah. Then I fought like a Tony Martin down here from Philly, right? Tough kid. I fought obviously Arturo, but I fought Charles Nacho Murray, great fighter, another good fighter. Just so many fighters I could forget. You know what I mean? But I had a lot of tough fights. And to come back, people thought, but I had, by all those tough fights, it helped me actually later on in life, later on in my career, because I was able to go in there confident, knowing I fought some great fighters, and I could take it. I never had to second guess myself. Well, can I take it? I just knew I could take it. So it gave me more power to me, just knowing mentally that I could do it. And but it was tough though. It was great. It was hard fighting a lot of tough fighters like that, because like you said, I was up, down, up, down, up, down. You know what I mean? But through it all, people saying, retire, he ain't gonna do this, he ain't gonna do that, all that. And then, If I would have listened to those people, I would have made nothing, and I wouldn't have won a WBU title, like world title, light league world title. I wouldn't have probably had a movie made about me, or me and my brother. You know what I mean? And so if I gave up, I'd be all the guys in the box go, oh, he should quit. He should quit. I'd be there drinking with them right now, probably if I did what they said I should do.
But did you ever have that self-doubt creep in? Like, did you ever have those moments where you're like, I just can't do this anymore?
No, actually, no, I never really did. I never really had that thought. I had a thought of why am I doing it? You know what I mean? But I never why can I do it? You know, I know I could do it. That's why I came back, you know, each time and try to come back hotter each time I left. So, but I knew I could do it. But I knew when I was done. Also, before my third Gatti fight, I said I was going to retire and win or lose in that fight, and I lost, obviously. But even if I would have won, I would have been done because the fight was out of me at that point. After the fight, not before, after the fight.
Now, in the movie, they show you getting your hand broken during the police interaction. Did that actually happen?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah.
So when you broke your hand, how hard? I know a couple buddies of mine are pro boxers that had broken hands. How hard was it to come back and to be able to punch with conviction?
I never really punched with conviction after that happened, and then that happened earlier in my career. Like in the movie, it happened like later in my career, but it actually happened in the early in my career, and I actually happened when I came back from the Hagel Leonard card. I fought on 1987 or something like that. Or was it when Marvin fought on Sugar Ray? You know, I came back and I was at a bar and things happened, and you know, I blew out of things. Got, you know, it kind of happened that way in the movie, and you know, it's just unfortunate. But my hand hurt after that, all the way up until after I fought Zab Judah. I finally got my hand fixed. Dr. Stephen Moggles from the Leahy Clinic in Boston here. He took a bone out of my pelvis and put it in my hand and put 3 screws in. And my hand then I could punch hard with my right hand again. So
because you're a traditional fighter, you weren't a lefty, but sometimes you would switch it up.
Right, but I punched harder being lefty though, because my right hand was always so bad. Even younger, I had bad right hand, but it wasn't the worst. I think get it fixed until I got later on. I mean, after I got hit with the police stuff, things like that. But I always was stronger with my left than my right, anyways.
So, for people that don't understand what it's like when you get hit in the liver, like people don't understand. Like if somebody sees a body shot and they see him go down, they're like, "What is he, a pussy? Like why is he going down?" People don't understand what happens inside of your body when you get hit in the liver. Try to explain that to them.
Well, I've never been really hit there or hurt there that bad. Gatti hit me a few times the last fight we had. It bothered me, but I never got knocked down from him. But from what I understand, it's excruciating pain. And I guess it's a delayed reaction. You back up and you're like, all of a sudden you go down. I don't know if it's the blood stops from going to the brain for those few seconds and then you got to drop, you know. That's what I heard happens. But I don't know. I never got hit with it like that hard. I did get hit hard, but in the side, not in the liver. So luckily, I never got hit there good.
Well, you sure shit hit a lot of people in the liver.
Oh, I most certainly did.
that was a career maker for you, man. There's to this day a good left hook to the liver.
Yeah.
So every announcer will say that looked like Micky Ward.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy how, and I tell people all the time, not everybody goes to their grave a millionaire. Not everybody goes to their grave, with riches and fame. But some people will always be remembered.
Right.
Right. There's people that will always have done enough in their life. And that's why I do the show, is to highlight people that I know who've lived their lives in such a way that they will go on and be remembered. Now, I gave an inspirational talk a couple weeks ago for a company. Advertising company, and I was talking about the value of life and why do we live our lives and how our lives are meant for everyone else around us, not necessarily for us, because it's our legacy that we're leaving behind when we go. Right. And I asked the CEO of the company why he lives his life, and he explained to me why, and then he said to me, he goes, I was told once before that you die twice, once when you actually take your last breath, and the second time when your name is uttered for the last time.
Right.
And I think it's very poignant in that my goal in life is to never have my name not uttered. Like, I want to always have people saying my name on some level for eternity. And I think you have, as long as there's boxing, as long as there's records, and as long as there are YouTube videos, you will always live on. And I think that's pretty damn cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I guess to put it that way, yeah, you know.
But think about it.
No, right. I never really, you know, I never sat down and thought of that. But yeah, it's true. It'd be pretty unique and nice, you know.
Listen, man, I'm not, I told you I'm a fan, but I mean, you had a fucking movie made after you, right? So, number one, I don't know, it was Disney, but you had Mark Wahlberg play as. I mean, that movie will forever be watched on demand somewhere.
Right.
And somebody's going to know Irish Micky Ward. You had an amazing pro career. You had 3 of the greatest boxing matches in the history of boxing. You may not have retired with $50 million in the bank like Mayweather, but I can guarantee you that if somebody said who was a better boxer, who was a more entertaining fighter, I would put every dollar I ever made on Micky Ward for entertainment value. Just who do I want to go watch box? Yeah. I would watch you 100 times out of 100 before I pay a nickel to watch him box.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. People say, would you change your style now that you know how about this or the concussion stuff? I'd say no, because that's just me, But funny, Floyd is probably, he's on a different level than everybody else. You know what I mean? And he's, just watching him when he fought Gatti, just, being there. And, that guy, he was just amazing. You know what I mean? And people talk about him. They don't like him because he talked a lot of crap or shit like that. But you know something? The way I look at it, if you can back it, and he backed it every time out. So he has the right to talk like that if he wants to. Now it's not me, or it's not everybody's like, but everybody's not him. If he was that good, he was undefeated. He beat everybody, he fought everybody too. And hey, I give him all the credit in the world. He can talk any way he wants to. He proved it.
Oh, I think he's an amazing fighter. But I look at the value of the entertainment. Like, who do I want to spend money on to watch to watch box? It sure as heck isn't going to be him, because for my dollar, I want to make sure that when I'm in there, I'm going to see 2 guys just battle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But
but styles make fights. So
styles do. But I just think he's like the best fighter of our generation, my generation, whatever. I don't know about from the 50s, but Ray Robinson, this one, that one. All those guys like that, the great fighters. Or the Sugar Ray Leonards and stuff, that was in a little different era. But in our era, by far, hands down, would be Floyd Mayweather, because no one beat him.
Oh, I get it. For me, if I had to guess, my favorite boxer of all time is, obviously Muhammad Ali was the greatest of all time. But I'm a Tyson guy up until he became an idiot. Up until he started tattooing his face and doing stupid stuff like that. I liked his style of boxing. He brought back some savageness.
Oh yeah, Mike, incredible. I fought with Mike. I know Mike. I trained fighters for Mike when I was in Florida down here with Mike Tyson Productions. Mike's a great guy. He's a good friend. I know Mike since I was 17. He was 16. We fought in the Nationals together in Colorado Springs, and so I've known him a long time, and personally, I like him. I like Mike. I've known him for a while,
Well, tell him to answer my Instagram messages. I send him one a week trying to get him on the damn show.
Yeah. But he's a good guy. He's a great guy. I like him a lot. I've known him for, like I said, a long time, and he's just Mike's Mike. And that's how he's always.
And that's what I love about him.
Yeah, exactly.
But as a fighter, he was my favorite fighter, and I think
he was so electric. The way he punched, and with Mike, it wasn't that he was the biggest, hardest puncher ever. It was the speed and accuracy, and he threw punches in bunches. He threw like 4 punches in a row so fast, and the 5th one would knock you dead. You know what I mean? That was his power. His speed was so fast. It was incredible for a heavyweight.
He punched. I always tell people he punched with violent intention.
he did, and he threw like short inside punches like that would rip your head off or your liver off or whatever the hell he hit you with. Yeah, it was just incredible. But Mike was not. I put Mike Tyson up with any heavyweight of any generation when he was 20 years old.
I think another fighter that I think in Philly gets a ton of respect, but I don't know whether or not people put him in the pantheon of all-time greatest. But I think Bernard Hopkins, for what he did on so many different weight classes, and the way he changed his boxing style from when he was a lighter weight class all the way up until he was fighting, cruiserweight and junior heavyweight.
Right? Yeah.
The guy did everything, and he could dance with you, he could brawl with you, he could talk shit to you, he could do everything. The guy was just an amazing fighter.
Exactly, and that's another guy I forgot about. Bernard Hopkins, man, was he a good fighter, great fighter? You know what I mean? Not coming from he got out of jail and he made the best of his life. You know what I mean? And you gotta applaud him for that. And such a good guy and humble guy. You can't get better guy than him. You know what I mean? He's just, and plus his fighting. He was even a better guy than he was a fighter. I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't a great fighter. He was an all-time great Hall of Famer. But he is such a good guy, too, though, That's what really makes him even better person.
That's awesome. I've never met the guy, but he's on my list of people to meet. So let's talk about, I know we danced around a little bit, but the Ward-Gatti. And let's talk about how that came about. Why was it Arturo Gatti? What was it about him that made you say he's your legacy guy? Like, he's the guy I'm going to cement my legacy with. Right.
Yeah, it was funny because I think a few months before, or like a year before I fought him, or 6 months or 7 months before I fought him, I lost the fight to Jesse James Leha down in Texas, and it was a headbutt, and they stopped the fight. Like after 4 rounds, he was cut, and they went to the scorecards, and he was ahead, so they gave him the technical decision, whatever it was, and I wasn't really sure if I think it was a left hook if you watch it, but whatever. So I think, I'm not going to say it was a favor, but because they took the fight away from me fighting with Leha, I think they probably said, let's make the Ward-Gatti fight. We'll give him a break and we'll give him Gatti. What a break that is, But we'll give him Gatti, so they gave me a Toro, and before the fight, wasn't sure. I mean, I didn't know. But I knew I was going to fight him tough. I never say if I'm going to win or lose. I always have confidence. But I never get cocky and say I'm definitely going to beat him, because you never know what can happen in there, But I knew the fight would be. I knew I was going to the hospital after. I knew I'd be in a bad brawl. But that was when he was starting to box more too with Buddy McGirt. He was on his A game. You know what I mean? But the first fight, the first fight was a great tough fight. Second fight wasn't as good for me, I got knocked down in the second round, whatever, third round. Then the third one was a tough fight too, but I lost that one too. But they were just great fights. So we became best of friends after, until obviously he passed away. But it was just a trilogy. It was just great to be part of it.
Let's talk about what Ward-Gatti won. So that's the one with the. What people will say is the 9th round was the greatest round of boxing ever.
Right.
Jim Lampley and Emanuel Steward were doing the call on that, and it was just here and there astounding disbelief as to what was happening in that fight. Right. Let's go through that fight. There were some highs and lows for you throughout that fight. It was one of those ones where he was up, you were up, he was up, you were up. Right. And then it just became who was going to be the last one standing at the end. Let's look at that 9th round.
Right. I started off, he's boxing good, and he cut me, I think, in the second round. And in the third round, I mean, it was just starting to heat up. He was getting me, I was getting him, blah, blah, blah. He was moving a lot, boxing good. And, then he hit me with a low blow. I think it was in the 5th or 4th or whatever it was, and he took a point away. And then everything started to switch after that. I caught him like a 4-punch combination against the rope, right on the money, and boom, and they were like, oh, this is starting to heat up now, and blah, blah, blah. And then the 6th round was hard. The 7th round was a good round, and like 8th round was a hard, tough round, back and forth. And the 9th round, 8th round at the very end, I had him and I knew it because he went back. I had him hurt. He was against the ropes and the bell rang. So I figured I'd go right out after him, and I did, and I caught him in the liver, and he went down. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm looking at him saying, oh, don't get up, please, right? I'm going, yeah. I'm saying, don't get up. And he gets up, I go, oh, shit. Wow. You know what I mean? And he came back harder at me, I'm like, oh, my God. And then I came back at him, and at the very end of that round, I thought they were going to stop it, because he was like.
Got him in the corner.
Yeah, he was just like defenseless pretty much, you know what I mean? And he came back in the 10th and came back and won that round. It was like crazy. I'm like, what the hell is this guy got in his head?
Well, his eye was almost shut.
Yeah.
You cut him pretty good over his right eye, I believe.
Right.
And I remember watching the video, the replay. Lampley just kept saying that whoever the ref was, Stover, I can't remember who was reffing that.
The first one was it was Cappuccino Frank.
Yep, Frank Cappuccino. You're right. And he said, at Cappuccino, you can stop it at any time. Stop it at any time. And he didn't, because I think they said in an interview later that he knew that Gotti wasn't done. Like in his mind, he knew this was going to be one of those fights where you're both going to bang each other till neither of you were ever going to quit.
Right. He was the blood and guts warrior. You know what I mean? And it was, thank God that Frank didn't stop, because probably our trilogy wouldn't have happened like it did, or probably wouldn't have happened, But, I'm glad he didn't stop it. It looked like he was going to, but, in hindsight, everything worked out for the good, you know what I mean? As far as, the fights and things like that, and like the history in boxing, But, I don't know. When he went down, I never in a million years thought I'd get up. But
do you think that was the best liver shot you ever threw?
One of them, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, like when you land it, but I felt it, and I didn't think he would get up though, but he did. He got up and he fought tough.
So you won the first one.
Yes.
Which set up
the
Ward-Gatti, right?
Right.
Let's talk about that fight, because it wasn't as electrifying as the first.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard. To live up to that first one anyways, but,
yep.
And I think it was the third round, I threw like not a lazy, but I threw a jab to his stomach. And he like took not a step back, but he leaned back and just threw a right hand over my jab, right on the ear, like behind the ear there, and I caught it there. And I was on Queer Street. I went down against I thought I was out on the boardwalk or something. I didn't know where the F I was, I can hear like Earl Morton County. All right, yeah. I'm like, I'm out of it. I don't know what the hell I'm saying, right? I'm out of it. Then he says, okay, box, right? So Toro comes at me. He's banging the shit out of me. Then I go against the ropes on like the other side of the ring, and he lined me up with 2 jabs and then a straight right. Boom. He went pop, pop, boom, right? Matt, that woke me up. I was still dazed, but I wasn't as dazed as I was before he hit me. I guess it can happen to you. Your brain can shift back into like consciousness, but my legs were still wobbly after that. But I knew where I was. I didn't think I was out on a boardwalk anymore. Crazy.
So the fight moves on. You get your legs. I mean, I've seen this fight many times. You get your legs back a little bit as the fight goes on.
Yeah. I had some moments in the fight, like a little this and that. But he beat me pretty good in the second one.
So you get done the second one. Now, was Dickie in your corner for that one?
Yeah, all of them, all 3 of them.
All of them? Okay. I wasn't sure if he was in all 3 or not. So you get done the second one. When was it decided that there would be a tiebreaker, a Ward-Gatti 3? Right.
Well, a funny story is like Pat Lynch tells it, Toro's manager. When they're negotiating, like Toro I won the first, he won the second. And they were saying, we're going to get you like a good money fight, or not a good money fight, but a good money fight like for a world title and stuff like that. And he looked at Pat and he goes, Pat, I'm not fighting nobody else beside Micky Ward. He gave me the second one. I'm giving him the third. So, and that's why it was made, because Toro wanted it done. He wasn't going to fight nobody else but me, because I gave him the second,
Wow.
Yeah. So
now at this point in time, were you guys friends? Did you already establish this friendship yet?
No, not at all. But oh yeah, I had respect for him, because the two tough fights or whatever, you know what I mean. And but I wasn't his friend.
So how long was it between the second and the third? How long of a period of time?
I fought the second one in November of 02,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Yeah, November, and we fought the third one in June. So I fought for June 7th. I fought him 3 times in 13 months.
Yep.
Yeah. So but then we fought the third one.
So how was let's look at the third fight. Let's look at Ward-Gatti 3.
Right.
Walk me through that fight.
Well, the fight started off, he's boxing again and moving around and back and forth for a little bit. He was ahead by like probably 2 points up until like the 6th round or whatever. And I caught him an overhand right on the head, top of the head, and he went down. But it was at the end of the round, so the bell rang. So the fight was kind of pretty much even there. So then now the 7th round comes out. Now I get off my stool. Now I figure I'd come right out after him because I know it's probably still be a little dazed. But I got off the stool, and my legs felt like I was in quicksand. I was done. I had no fight in me or nothing. I just kind of like I didn't hang. I just hung on pretty much on. Tried my best, but I just didn't have it after that. It's weird. I got old in like 1 round. It seemed like yeah,
But yeah.
And he boxed good, and he had some. He won the third one again. But it wasn't as far as the second one. But he still won pretty good.
It was. I mean, you still, even when you could tell you had no legs. I mean, it was clear the last 3 rounds that you didn't have much movement in your legs. You're pretty much a stationary target.
Yeah.
And you were doing the peekaboo and you're just trying to limit the damage.
Right.
You still were laying wood.
Yeah, it was.
What I think happened was and I don't know if it was a conscious thing on his part. I'll never know, and maybe he said, "I'm going to stand in front of you."
Right, but know what happened too, though, is like in the 6th round. That's why the 7th round, whatever it was. He threw. It might have been one of those rounds. I forget what round it was. He threw a hook to my body, and he hit my hip, and he broke his hand right there. Yep. He broke his hand, and he was fighting from like the 6th round on with one hand, throwing the right hand too.
Yeah.
And that's how tough he was. He had a broken hand, and he was still throwing it.
But I think, and I saw it because you said in the beginning he was boxing, he was moving around, and you caught him with that overhand right on the top of the head, put him down at the end of the round. Yeah. You came out, you didn't have your legs. He didn't box from that point. Like he didn't dance. Right. He stood there. And I think it was almost like a mutual respect thing where he said, we're going to finish this thing the way we started it, toe to toe, just banging on each other's heads until we're done.
Right.
And I think what I find the most amazing about that whole trilogy was, and I think you said it in the post-fight interview with Letterman, the mutual respect that you had for one another. That there was no fear, there was no, you didn't have any fear that the guy was better than you, but you had mutual respect and that you each understood that you were both warriors. And I think that the last 3 rounds was kind of like the pinnacle where he said, I got a broken hand. I can't box you anymore. You've got no legs. You got nothing left energy-wise. We're just going to stand here like rocking sock and robots and just bash the piss out of each other. Right,
exactly. That's pretty much it. His hand was gone. He was still like throwing a left hook hard, but his right hand wasn't, he wasn't throwing it much like he wasn't, in the beginning of the fight or, stuff like that. But just goes to show you how tough he was to have a broken hand. He could have opted to quit the fight or stop fighting, but that wasn't, when I went to the thing, I went to his corner on HBO after that round where he hurt his hand. And Buddy said, "What do you want me to do?" He goes, I gotta go. And unless a man or someone that couldn't take the pain would have quit.
I think that's a testament to who he was and the type of fighter he was.
Right. Exactly.
So let's talk about the friendship that came out of that.
Right. So so then we how we became really good friends in my eyes was the fight was over, so they take me in the ambulance. They bring me to the hospital. You know, 'cause I had to get like stitched up, and I had to get my brain had shifted, and I had to get double eye surgery a year later. You know, so I'm in one room, you know, and I'm in one thing with my bed, and they wheel someone else in like the room. You know, it's a big room in a hospital room, and they wheel someone else in.
Curtains,
Somebody wants to say hi to you. They opened the curtain. It was him, total. And the first thing he said to me was, "Mick, you okay?" You know, and I was like, "Wow," you know. That's when we became like really, you know, good friends and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I walked him out to every fight that he fought after that. I used to walk him out every fight. I'd go to like a couple days beforehand, and I'd walk him out for every fight. So, you know,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, how many fights did he have after that?
I'm not sure. He won I think he fought 2 fights, and then he fought Bronco, Gianluca Bronco, I think, and won the WBC title. And I think he fought maybe a total of, I'm not sure, but I want to say maybe 5 fights after me, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I know he had some struggles afterward. Did you stay tight throughout that time period?
Yeah, I mean, I'd after his fights when
when he retired.
No, I didn't really see him much after he retired. You know, I think he retired, and a year later, I think he passed away or whatever. I think, but I stood close with him when he was fighting and all that. When he, you know, after the fights and stuff, or before the fight, I'd go down to his training camp and see him and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I trained him for his last fight of his career, so I was in Florida with him for like a month and stuff, training down there. You know.
That's awesome that you guys, you know, I just think it's rare that you see that level of, first of all, for someone to fight 3 times, absolutely you'll never see that again.
Right.
I don't think you'll ever see another fighter, especially 3 fights in a row in 13 months, let alone 3 fights, fight the same guy 3 times in a career.
Right.
And that, you know, from that spurned this friendship and this respect.
Right.
And 2 guys that literally were trying to rip each other's heads off are now, you know, respected like brothers.
Right. Yeah.
And sadly he died. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of suspicion about what happened down in Brazil and what happened with him. And that's a shame that it was clouded under such suspicion.
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that, you know, just like you and that what I mentioned earlier, Arturo Gatti's name will never not be mentioned.
Right. Right.
It will always, someone somewhere is going to watch a boxing match and see 2 guys square off beating the piss out of each other and say, that reminded me of the Ward-Gatti match in round 9 of the first one. You know, and like that's always going to happen.
Right.
As long as the sport exists, that's going to happen.
Right. So we'll be connected for forever, obviously, you know, so that's pretty cool. But, you know, it's just, you know, it's good, you know, just to know that we got to be friends, you know, after the fights, you know, and the little time we did have each other, it was good.
I know I lost my brother when I was 18 years old. He was autistic, and stuttered and died in a car accident when I was 18. He was 21. So I get how close you can become with somebody and then suddenly lose them. So I know what that feels like. Now, moving on with boxing, you retired after the Ward-Gatti 3.
Yeah.
What did you do, you know, for the first 5-6 years after you retired?
Well, I did some. I ran 2 Boston marathons after I retired. You know.
Wow.
I stayed in shape. I did a lot of running. I, you know, just worked, did the construction, stuff like that. That's about it. Nothing crazy.
Did you open any gyms? Did you do what everyone else does and open a boxing gym?
I had a gym for a little while, you know, and you know, I had a gym, and then I went to Florida with Tyson's thing. I left the gym because I didn't want to have a gym and me not be here. So, you know, but I trained people at my nephew Sean's gym, Box to Burn in Westwood, Mass. Here, you know, I went down to West End Gym in Lowell. You know, trained with Arthur Gatti owns it down there, and I'm with Prince Marketing, MickyWard.com is my website and stuff, and Nick Cordasco is my agent, him and Darren Prince. So I've been busy with stuff with him, and and in work, so everything's going pretty good. I'm just trying to stay busy and live normal.
Well, I think it's a testament to the fact that you fought 50 some fights. Number
Right.
one, not many people have a career that lasts that long.
Right.
And not many people can walk out. And I think this is a really good way to end it. Very few people walk out on top after a loss.
Right. True. I know.
You literally walked out.
Right. Yeah.
On top. No matter what that outcome was.
Yeah.
You were on top.
Yeah, it's true. And I guess I never really looked at it like that either. But it's true. Win, lose, or draw, I just want to give it my all. Because in boxing, I never said I'm going to definitely beat this guy. I'm going to be, because you never know. And I'm not the kind of person that would say I know I'm going to win, because I never know if I will. You never know what can happen in the ring. You know what I mean? It's boxing. Anyone can get hit and hurt. There's only one, like I said, one Floyd. And everybody wants to try to be like him, but there's only one him, and there'll only be one him. But I just want to go out and give it my all every time out, and as long as I did that, Matt, I was happy. As long as I left everything in there and didn't have an ounce of energy left in me when I left the ring, I was happy.
Well, dude, you were a warrior. You were, without a doubt, one of my all-time favorites to watch. This has been a complete thrill for me to have you on my show. I know that it's not something that some random guy from outside of Philadelphia sends you. I'm not gonna lie, I did use some connections to get your cell phone number. So
yeah.
I didn't want to become an asshole and text you too much, but I wanted to make sure I stayed on top of you.
No problem at all. It was a pleasure to do it, and I'm glad I did it.
So here's the deal. I'm going to come and see you when you're in Atlantic City in June.
Okay,
me and my buddies, Ricky and Robbie, are going to come down and see you and hang out down Atlantic City when you get inducted. Russell Peltz, I know that you're going to watch this. We need to do everything we can to put some heat on the people up in New York to get the International Boxing Hall of Fame, to finally put you in the Hall of Fame where you belong, in the big one. And I will do my best to push whoever I can push with those buttons to make that happen, because you are by far one of the shining stars in the history of boxing, in what boxing wishes it still was.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
You're the reason why people like me still love boxing.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, bud.
Mick, don't go anywhere. I'm going to close out the show. Everybody, thank you for watching another episode of the Two Dates in the Dash podcast. It was my pleasure to have the incomparable Irish Micky Ward on my show. And God bless everybody. Have a great day. And for God's sakes, be kind to one another. Take care.